Hey Sarah, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am doing magical. Thank you for asking, and thank you for wanting to sit down with me and have a little conversation. Um, we chatted not too long ago, and during that conversation, I realized that not only do you work with experts who speak, but you've worked with some very amazing individuals that I know that are my colleagues as well as some of my clients. And I thought to myself during that conversation, you know, we should probably record this damn thing because there's a lot of valuable nuggets here in terms of what it is that you do and how you deliver magic to those amazing speakers, and I wanted to have an opportunity for us to share that with everyone else. So thanks again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure is all on this side of the camera, at least for now. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, let's hear it go.
But before we, dive into the nitty-gritty of how you solve your clients' problems with their websites, I wanted to get to the top, get to the high level piece. Um, what actually inspired you to be a website designer?
Oh, that's it's funny how during now that I look back, there were some hints that life gave me and that I completely ignored, like with the school projects and how I really liked designing PowerPoint presentations
Oh,
and
wow.
doing posters for the school and everything. So I think I didn't even have the notion that you could do this for a living. So when I found out, like when I was searching for courses to take, when I found out that I could create on computer for a living, because I was never like that good at drawing and stuff, but in the like digital world, digital creative world, I really liked creating videos and posters. And when I saw I could do that for a living, that was it. I completely remember that moment. But I also liked maths and rational thinking. So that specific course that I took had the design for creativity and the programming for rational thinking that I really liked. So that's why I'm called a unicorn designer, because I can both design and code. So it's that magical mix of the two that I'm always longing for. If I do too much of one, I miss the other. So I'm always um,
You're
going back.
always Yeah, you're always balancing between back and forth, which I mean, that sounds like website design to a T. Coming from someone who uses Squarespace and does the bare minimum. We looked at my website. I actually got the seal of approval from you. Like, "Oh, it's not that bad." I
No,
think you
no,
were
it's
I think you were just being nice, but that's okay.
no,
That's
no, no,
okay.
no, no. I have a list of things that I usually see, and yours, there's not much to tick.
Ooh.
Like especially in white space. I was thinking before the call, like, because many people ask me, like, what are the main, like, the top mistakes that you see people doing over and over again, and one of them is like lack of white space.
You know,
Important.
yeah, no, I definitely want to talk about mistakes because as we both know, the people that we serve, while they are amazing at what they do and how they transform their clients' lives, when it comes to the creative aspects of how to market themselves, some of them are they stumble a little bit, and I'm being generous by
It's
saying that.
normal. We're
Of
not
course.
experts at everything, right?
100%. And that's why I always say that experts hire experts for a
Yeah,
reason. And it's not that they're a bad person or that they suck at what they do. It's you don't know what you don't know. And that's
it's
why it's important to have those, experts come in to be able to help bridge that gap between where you are and, quite frankly, where you need to be with respect to the level of authority that they have in their particular space of expertise.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we get into more of those mistakes, speakers, what now I get why you're into being a website designer. I see how your mind works with the rational piece, the mapping out piece, the how everything kind of plays together with the creative piece. But why did you decide to leverage that innate ability to serve speakers?
So actually, it was by chance. I did one, and I liked it so much. I searched for others, but I really like working on personal brands. And I mean, speakers can usually they're a personal brand, even if they have a company. Like they're a big part of the brand, so their personality and their special quirks and how experiencing a keynote of them, like everything has to like be transparent when they land on. Imagine when you land on a speaker's website, it's good that you feel their energy, or that like they're a fun a fun person, an introspect person, I don't know, like they're evoking their true essence and personality through visuals. Like you land on their website and you don't need to read a word to feel how it is to work with them. That's a challenge that I really like to take. And there's always like a specific challenge to overcome in all of them. And it's fun to and curious to watch as we are like on our first calls, and they're like, oh, I'm fun, but I don't want to be not taken seriously, right? I still want to look professional. Or um like I think I'm elegant, but like not too classic, I'm still modern, right? So there's always like, how can you um balance those, and and through visuals represent them.
Right.
um,
That's a really important piece that you bring up with regards to being able to display multiple aspects of their personality. Because regardless if you speak, train, coach, consult, or write books, or if you're just someone that doesn't work in that space, there's multiple sides to everyone's personality.
of course.
And as you mentioned, it is a challenge, and it's a challenge that I wrestle with every client as well. How do you specifically bridge that gap? How do you help them visually transfer all of those different aspects, those multi-sided aspects of their personality, into the way that you help design their pages on their website?
Um, so there's a lot of communication, because normally I don't know them personally beforehand. I can know a lot about their work, but sometimes they also, I mean, most of the times they need a rebranding. They need to um, have those colors that represent all of those traits. Or and not only that, of course, it's not only about personalities, about who they want to attract and what message and how they want to be perceived. um, so there's a lot of communication, and I have to ask a lot of sometimes questions might seem like, why are you asking me about like my favorite Netflix show? But sometimes in those answers I get small details or small keywords about their true essence and personality. Um, so it's a lot like a date, and getting to know them, and getting a lot of keywords, and then understanding which of them need to shine through more. Um, and it's fun. It's a fun part of the job, and then it's like, then it's a mix of maybe the fun part of you needs to just be like a little side note. So maybe like we will have small notes on post-its to represent that, and then we have an elegant font, and then we have this color to represent credibility and professionalism, and we have this color um, maybe just on the buttons to represent a bit of your feminine side, or it's it's fun. It's a fun work, and the goal, and I have this with all my clients, the goal is always to get the feedback. Wow, it looks so you. So you enter on the website like, oh my god, like this is our personality through visuals. Like people can see it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, that's, one of the most important things when you're talking about visually communicating someone's essence is that that question. When you look at this piece of work, whether it's a photo or a website, do you recognize the person that's represented within this piece? And if the answer is no, then clearly there's some more work to be done. But when you do have that synergy between what you've created for them and their reaction to it, that's magical. And
yeah.
I would have never thought about, I guess that's really interesting, the colors and the fonts. Do you like do color theory and like
Yes, yes. Usually, when I pick a color, explain like what that color represents in the, and I mean, there then sometimes it's the mix of colors that represent something, but it is a package. Now that you talk about it, like when you land on a website, it's not only about, so it's the colors, it's the photography, it's the copy, um, and everything adds up. So if you nail all of those, like your website will be answering a lot of questions
right,
uh, to their
right.
visitor.
Yeah. And the goal being, of course, to attract the type of people that aesthetic that is created from page to page to page resonates with that person, not just because of what they're reading in the copy, which is important, obviously, because that is what's fleshing out the who this person is, who they serve, the problems they solve, and how they solve them, but how they translate all of those answers visually to someone
Yeah,
to
like in
be
the
able to.
first seconds, like they land on their website and then they don't even need to read a word to understand that, like that's a high level professional and an expert in a field, and that it's worth the numbers he's asking for and everything.
Right,
Um,
right. No, that makes total sense. Now that's an ideal situation, right?
yes,
You have when you have everything dialed in the right way and it resonates with your client and ultimately it resonates with the potential clients that are landing on this website to determine whether or not this person is a fit to help solve their problems. Let's and you alluded to this earlier, but let's get more into the common mistakes when there is not that alignment. And now you mentioned negative space, but in addition to that negative space, which by the way, I'd like for you to kind of flesh out what that means for people who don't quite understand what that is. In addition to that, what are some of the other mistakes that experts are making with regards to how they present themselves in their website?
yeah, so there are a lot of small details that you can fix right away, like the white space. You can just increase margins and maybe not have like a long sentence. We've talked about this, like having a paragraph that occupies like the full screen, and to read, you have to do this, and then you don't know where the next sentence begins, or big walls of text. White space or negative space is important. I usually say like to allow space to breathe between content. So now I read like two paragraphs about you. Let me breathe before I understand which services you offer, and just give me like small chunks of information. And then if I want to learn more, I'll click on the tell me more button and I'll be taken to another page. So or sometimes it's just like the space between the sections, like why are the sections like glued together? Why are you not allowing, like it's easy to scroll, we're used to scrolling, so don't be afraid of having white space. Of course, not too much, like there's a balance. But yeah, and having um, images throughout the website next to the paragraphs. To sometimes if you have a big um, wall of text, maybe just break it down into two sections and add images next to the text, so the content is more digestible and the experience is more pleasant and clean.
Right.
um, Other than that, there's also, I mean, sometimes people just forget, like they have a beautiful website but they're not taking people through a journey, taking visitors through a journey. And so if the person is interested in working with you, like, please help them getting in contact with you and answering the questions that they need to get the answers to before they contact you. So it's a lot about structure and hierarchy of content. That's another thing. Like sometimes we think design is just like making things pretty, but there's a lot of like structuring and hierarchy behind it. So people understand, like, who are you first? Are you a speaker, a consultant, or an author? Because sometimes you are a lot of things, but like, which one are you first? Or what's the main service you want to sell? You have like, you can talk about a lot of things, you can have multiple keynotes, but like, what are the three big ones that you want people to to sign up for the most? So what I see most, and this is the the big one, and the one that it happens to everyone. It's like, as our business grows, our website goes through changes and additions. So maybe during COVID, you created a virtual service, so you added that to the website.
Hmm.
Then you decided to have like a I don't know, another kind of service, a training service, and you added that to the website. Then you launched the book and you added that to the website. So now your website is just a big um,
Mess.
mess. Like, so many additions on top of the others, and it lacks structure and hierarchy. And most of the times, um, what they need is just like, first, a restructure of their content and their website, so that users can have, like, depending on what kind of work they want from you, they can take that journey, like user experience. They have a good user experience.
Right.
um,
So, okay, I wrote a boatload of notes here in terms of what to focus on here. We've got uh, make sure you use the white space to be able to break up text and let things breathe. Uh, what else do we? I wrote a bunch of scribbles here. Navigation buttons to make sure that everything is aligned.
Yes, call
Uh,
to actions. Call to actions are very important. Like, so you're selling the service, please add a button like, I want this. I need
right,
this now.
right, right.
Uh,
No walls of text to be
no
bore
walls of
people to
text.
death.
Yeah.
And position your website as a journey, answering questions for people to be able to give them more insights into what it's actually like to work with that particular expert. Um, Hierarchy of content. Now, that one really stood out to me because we do work with a lot of I refer to them colloquially as, slashies. They're not just a speaker. They're an expert who speaks, coaches and trains and consults, and then
Yeah.
sometimes they have an online course, and you mentioned the books and all this other stuff. I guess the question that I would have with regards to that in terms of the images that they use, would that be a way to help signal to their audiences how they wanna be seen first?
Yes,
And
definitely, definitely, yes. Yeah, so
okay,
imagine if they're a speaker first, of course you land on their website and you have to see them on a big stage. And if it has an audience, even better. And if you can see that it's a big audience, like, you're adding credibility right away. You're telling them who you are with just like an image or a video.
And
um
when you do that, when you lead with those types of images, is there some type of specific imagery that would, kinda work for any expert that's within that particular space? Whether, they say, I wanna lead on my homepage as being a coach. Is there a specific type of image that would resonate most? Is it something where you want them to be making eye contact in one way with the camera, or would it be better if the images were a fly on the wall type of experience as they are coaching?
I mean, there are a lot of things. First, like the images should portray what you like, the experience of working with them. So if you're a consultant, please show images of you consulting, like you in action, right? You in action is because it has a lot of credibility. Like, oh, I like there's proof she does that. Like there's proof she's on stages. There's proof she writes books. um and also, I really like choosing the images. I really like that the image that's next to the text represents what's on the text. So if I'm saying, imagine on the about page that, um, since she was 5, she has been like loving to be on stages, and there's a photo of maybe her now, and her with 5 years old on a stage. So it's like illustrating, what we're telling the visitor.
Right,
um
right. I refer to that as visual punctuation, where the words are complemented by the visual.
yeah,
And in the case that you just brought up, that represents a direct correlation with regards to, ever since I was 5, and then there's a photo of them being 5 years old, right? So
yeah.
that is a very on the nose, obvious case of visual punctuation. But one of the other ways that I encourage my clients to visually punctuate the sentiment of the stories that they're sharing, and in this case, that applies to any copy that they create everywhere across every touch point of their online presence. But with regards to the website, sometimes the images can punctuate the sentiment visually through the sentiment or the emotion of what the copy
Yes.
is is projecting. Now, is that something that you also do for your clients and keep in
Oh, yes.
mind?
Yes, 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 yes. So usually I leave the photos for the last part. So I have the copy, I have the design that aligns with the copy, and then I need the image to add that last touch of gluing everything together, and having uh, and complementing everything. So um, sometimes it's even like layout things. The text is on the right, so she's looking right. And yeah, it's just I see it as, maybe you call it something else, but I see it that it's illustrating uh, what's on that section with
Yeah,
visual
yeah.
image representation.
Yeah, we're
Um,
we're we're speaking the same language, just a slightly different dialect, but it's all
yeah,
good.
yeah.
And what you're saying is clearly music to my ears because obviously that is my contribution to your massive contribution with regards to their website.
Yeah,
So
it was what I was talking about. Like it's a package, because you can have great copy, great branding and design and website, but then you have like a low quality image next to it, or like you land on the website and you see a pixelated image, like your credibility goes down the drain, right? Everything else is perfect, but like really a pixelated image, a blurry,
well,
like
yeah. Yeah, yeah. What about if it's a if it's a great, quality image resolution-wise, but it's like some selfie that they took at the bar, hanging out with
Oh, of
friends,
course,
then
of
they
course,
slap
of
that
course.
in there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Have you
an about page that starts with a selfie, I mean, and not with a, um, photo like from a photo session, right?
Right. Well, the one thing is, smartphone photos, there is a time and a place for these images, and I would also argue that there are places, very specific places, that smartphone photos actually do make
Yeah.
sense within the construct of the much larger story that you're telling on your website,
Yes,
when you're
definitely.
when you're using it as lead images in certain very important pieces, like in banners or um, even in some of these inset images that are breaking up the text that are part of like a service page, they're not exactly a good fit there because,
Yeah.
as you said, their credibility goes down, and at the end of the day, they look cheap.
No, I've worked with them. Like sometimes I'll just add as a secondary photo of that section, right? But you have like um it's a construct. Like it's like having um it's like a house. You can like buy some decoration that's not as fancy as your other decoration, and there's a place for it, but you have to be there's a balance to strike.
100%.
Um,
There are some clients that I have that actually have carousels on different pages of not just smartphone photos that they've taken, but smartphone photos from their clients, whether it's them at an event with the speaker or the expert consultant, whatever. Together, and they have a bunch of those as a collage. Um, some also have it where their clients are holding that person's book. In those cases, that adds a lot of color. It adds a lot of personality, and in that case, it also adds a lot of social proof and
yes,
credibility.
yes, of course, of course. Yeah, it's just like not on the on page banner. It's
Right,
just that
right. And yet,
mostly.
and yet, we do see some folks that try to get away with that. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
now, we've talked a lot about the whole journey, the hierarchy, the buttons, the colors, the images, the copy, all of these different things. Where does an expert start? What is the first step? Walk me now. You mentioned that you have a lot of communication with your client up front. What does the rest of the journey look like with regards to how an expert works with you to ensure that their website is a really great representation of who they are, who they serve, and how they solve their clients' problems? What does that look like?
Yeah. So there are a lot of pieces, but we can break them into steps. So the first step is branding, because like you can't have a website that represents you without the brand identity to build the website. Like I can create a good website without a good brand identity to support it. So we have to start with branding and deciding like, does your logo pass like the sketch test? Like can someone visualize it easily in their head if they have seen it like once or twice?
Mhm.
So we have a good logo, we have the color palette that represents you, along with the typography and the brand elements that you can then use not only on your website but on your social media, on your communication. So brand elements like a lot of people now use like a and drawn underlines and or um, circles to highlight words. Like how will we highlight words? How we will treat quotes or testimonials? Or so there are a lot of things that we have to define, so you are cohesive throughout your all communication, not only on your website, but your website is the same collection as your keynotes, presentation slides, and your Instagram posts and whatever. So brand identity needs to be uh, it's the first thing that needs to um, that we needed to work on. Then we forget a bit about the colors and we go into like restructuring the content of your website and creating that hierarchy. So on your own page, what's the first thing we need to say to your um, potential clients? What are the services that we need to highlight? Like, do we have books? Will we have a blog? Um, all the things that need to be. So we create wireframes. So it's just like a black and white draft of your website. Um, and then we create the copy. So we decide what words, what are the words that we will include on the website, and more or less like these words will need an image, these words will need a graphic, whatever.
Mhm.
um, and once we have that, so the black and white draft version of your website, then I can go in and add branding to it, so the colors, the fonts, everything, to add personality to that draft.
Right.
So we designed the website and then we developed the website. Along that process, there's the image selection, and testimonials are also a big part. Like if you have good quality testimonials that are not just like, oh, she's great, right? No, like I was in this state before working with her. We did this, the experience was this, and then I got these results. Um, so everything that we can have to add credibility, um, it's like even testimonials that add a lot of can add a lot of credibility. Um, so it's like they're already an expert. How can we show everyone just through a website the kind of expert that they are, and answer all the questions that they might have. So when you land on a call with them, maybe to book a project or whatever, they have
Mhm.
like they already understand what it's like to work with you, um, and not only like the work that they can do, but also how the experience will feel like, and that's also
Wow.
branding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of work.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah.
What
Usually, yeah.
I was gonna say, sorry, how long does this process take?
Yeah, it, it was what I was going to say. Usually, when I say like, oh, it can take like about 4 to 5 months or more, depending on how it goes and how much work is involved and how big the website is. But at the end, they all understand like, oh yeah, it had to take this time. We like because there's and it's a lot to process, you have to process your new look and feel, and that might take a bit of time, but like let's build the branding, let's think about the structure of your website, let's nail the design, because of course between these there are revisions to go through, and things that we want to tweak, um, and then developing the website also, and integrating all the technology that there is to integrate, and then launching. And then like it's never a complete, um your business will evolve and so will your website, and it's always a work in progress, but at least you now have like a solid base um to build
Right.
on.
It's a work in progress, just like the person that's in those images and represented through all of those words.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we know what the kind of investment is. We're talking 4 to 5 months, and in terms of investment of finances, obviously there's a sliding scale between from website designer to website designer, right? The question that I have with regards to that is, let's say you have an emerging speaker, someone who is obviously qualified in what they're speaking about and what they're training on or consulting on, whatever the case may be, but they don't exactly have a budget, a huge budget to work with. First of all, can you give us a ballpark figure as to what an average budget is? And if someone were to fall below that, but understand that they do, in fact, need to have a website that truly encapsulates who they are, what should they do? Who do they look to turn to in terms of a designer to help solve that problem?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it will depend. There are a lot of ranges and a lot of designers out there that charge different things. And I mean, and you can even do branding with one person and then the website with another. There are a lot of roads you can take. Um, and maybe if you're just starting out, like maybe it doesn't make sense to do like a um, for your first version of your website and you just started like 1 or 2 years ago, maybe it doesn't make sense to have a more than 10K investment, right? um, but if you're already an established expert in your field and you're already charging um, maybe more than 10K, of course, right? 10 to 20K, maybe then it makes sense to have an investment of 20 or 30K on your website, because like that, if it brings in if your website already answers those questions and positions you as an expert in their field, like um, if it sells, if it ends up resulting in like uh, keynotes, right? And
Right.
more work, then the investment will pay off really, really quickly. So it's it depends. There's prices for everyone, really, and
Right.
for each stage. And maybe you now start with a less than 10K investment, and in 5, 10 years you can, uh,
Grow with that, and
yeah.
as a result, you're right. So then it would
And
make
maybe
more
you can even like start with a landing page, just one page. Like you can a landing page, a one-page website can do a lot in your first years, and that's a lower investment. Whether if it is like home, about, service, speaking, consulting, selling books, having a blog, that's that's another kind of house, right?
right. Now, that's a great point. Just having a one pager that has everything listed sequentially. Is that something that you would what if they were to say to you, "I could just do this myself?"
I mean, go ahead.
Knock yourself out.
Go.
Right, right,
No, I mean it really depends on the, and if someone comes to me and I feel like they're just, and it has happened, like they're just starting out and like a 20K investment is too much. I completely understand, and I'm not going to be the one like, if they're all only like testing the waters, right? And seeing if this is the right thing for them. Like I mean, maybe I propose a one-page website, or I propose a one-page website with one of my colleagues that maybe aren't charging I hand experiences.
right. Well, let's say that the client that the expert is creatively inclined and they're motivated to do this one page website. What platform would you suggest that they use in terms of its user friendliness mixed with its flexibility to be able to create something that doesn't look like it was created in 1999?
If it's the, like them DIYing it, like
Yes.
doing, yeah, yeah. So I would suggest for starters, yeah, Squarespace. I mean, there are others that you can try out, but um, Squarespace, yes, it allows for playing with those white spaces and and those brand, applying that brand identity easily for like WordPress is the one that I usually use for having like full customization, but that's just like um and being able to do anything that you want. And if you're scaling a business and having multiple services and selling things, and you need multiple integrations and a really custom design, uh, WordPress allows for all that. But if you just need like something to like be online, and you can go in and drag and drop things, and um Squarespace is the
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah. I've been a Squarespace, advocate for 11 years now, and, while, I do enjoy picking the photos for my page, laying out stuff isn't exactly something that I, get really excited about, but I will say that the user friendliness of the program has allowed me to change my website, oh, I don't know, 74,000 times in the time that I've been a business owner. Um, but yeah, one of the things that I will say, as you were talking before about the process that you bring your clients through, is when you invest in a premium solution for your website, you are not just investing in that website itself. You're investing in the branding elements. You're investing in the typography that you can use across all different touch points. You're investing in all of the different graphical pieces that are created for banners. So it's not just, okay, I'm spending 20, $30,000 on this 4 to 5 month project. I'm investing this money to be leveraged to create visual assets that can be leveraged everywhere to create that visual consistency from touch point to touch point. So it's actually much more than just a website that you're getting when you work with a professional such as yourself.
Yes, yes. Branding. So I usually like I sell websites, but the branding is like a separate project. It's branding and websites, right? You can do it all in a like it's a one project, but it's an experience. But the branding, so you leave the branding phase with a brand style guide that tells you what colors to mix and what colors not to mix, and how to lay out information, the do's and don'ts of your brand identity. Um, and yeah, like once you have a website design, you can like look at a section and like, oh, this layout might work in a presentation slide, and then your presentation slides are in line with your website. So it's like it's a family. And when you or when you are doing a social media post, and you're posting regularly, so like people are scrolling through Instagram, and it comes to a point that they don't even like need to read anything or see the logo to understand that it's a post from uh, that brand, right? Because you're just scrolling and like, oh, okay, those fonts and those colors are from X, Y, or Z.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and
It's
and and when you're creating new pages, also like you can always duplicate sections from other parts. So it's easy. It's easier. It's a solid base to grow on. Yeah.
it's funny you bring that up because with one of my clients that I work with in an ongoing relationship, we created a template for some of his online content, specifically for posts that involve quotes from him, whether it's from his book or from things that he's said in presentations or coaching calls or things of that nature. And the first thing I did with the content producer is go to his website, find the branding elements that are on his banners, copy them, and repurpose them as a way to create the layout for his content. So it's, killing two birds with one stone. In addition to the fact that we use all of his fonts and his colors and everything else that you mentioned. So it, to me, when you are at a certain level, it is a no brainer to invest in a top quality designer to be able to create these assets that will reap you benefits over and over again in different
Yes.
ways across your entire online
Yes,
presence.
just being like in Canva and not having to decide what color to use because you already have like the color palette and you know that titles will use this color, and if the background is this, the color to use on text is this. And yeah, it's also um, productivity and but mostly building a brand identity, right? You have your brand as an identity.
Absolutely. Now, you've obviously created a solid case for why, experts need these websites, whether it's, a one pager all the way up to something that has, all of those integrations, multiple landing pages, leading with your lead service and showcasing the other ones appropriately across the website to create a very organized journey that answers their questions with regards to whether or not they're the right fit. Um, what do you say to someone that says, "Well, I'm a referral based business. I'm all about relationships. I don't need to spend all that money on a website. Why would I even bother? I don't even think these people look at my website."
I mean, you if you're living without a website and you think you can live without a website, it's okay. Like it's not that you have to, but if you do, it's like having so someone refers you to me. What's the first thing that I will do? I'll Google your name, right? So I can look at your LinkedIn profile and your Instagram, but if I have a website that answers all my questions and convinces me, it's just like even Instagram, like I there are people who have Instagram accounts, I do have an Instagram account, that are like they're not regular there, but at least there's something there. If you Google, like if you search for my name on Instagram, you can see some of my work. So it's like having a portfolio online on Instagram. And with the website is like a detailed business card, right? So they have your name, and now they can get all the information that they might need to work with you. Because I mean, I get referrals as people. I can ask for referrals for someone to take care of my social media, but of course, I'll look into their websites. And I'm very sad when I see like a maintenance page or something like, oh, I needed to know more about this person,
Yeah.
or I needed to like, you just lost um, an opportunity to for those people to like send you an email because they got your email on the website, or they just filled out the contact form, or they just booked the call with you directly. So um, yeah, it's just it is like having a salesperson working for you uh, 24/7, right?
Yeah. Salesperson working for you 24/7. I haven't thought of it that way before, but absolutely. I mean, the truth is referrals are great, but it it's not enough to assume that someone is simply going to go based off of someone else's words. They're going to want to investigate, especially as they go along the chain and invest more in you know, ho more premium solutions for website designers.
Yes, the website is just reassuring them that you are the expert that they need, um,
Yeah,
because
and
they're
yeah,
seeing all these things in the website. Uh,
they've seen that you've done it before, they've seen that you've done it recently, and that you've done it at a high level, and that you can be assured that they'll deliver magic for that client. That's what it's
yes.
about. Yeah. So Sarah, we have gone through a whole bunch of questions, and I thank you for answering them. I've learned a lot because, you know, all I know is my little Squarespace and my text and my images and all that fun stuff. But this has been really valuable. Now, if someone were interested in learning more about what it would be like to specifically work with you, where's the best place for them to check you out? I
Yeah,
think I
they
have an
can.
idea. I think I have
Yeah,
an
yeah.
idea.
It's funny that that question pops up now. Yeah. They can go to my website and learn more about how I work with my clients and see some of my past work. Um, it's unicorndesignerstudio.com. Designer, not just design, unicorndesignerstudio.com. And they can book a call with me, and we can daydream a bit about their website even if we don't end up working together. It's always good to daydream a bit about what it can become, and I always like those conversations, even if even if it doesn't turn out to be working together. It's always fun.
Yeah,
It's like I really love what I do, so it's not uh, it's a real hobby. And imagine when I'm talking with people about their current state of their old website, um, I always start picturing like your menu navigation needs to be this, and this. Like just restructuring. The menu navigation is like a summary, a very condensed summary, like an index of your website and your business. It can be like your business, right? Um, because I do speaking, I do consulting, and I'm an author. um, and I have these books, I have these keynotes, and I can do workshops and trainings and everything. Yeah.
so hopefully we'll get some people to daydream with you about all of the magical possibilities that they
Yes.
could have by creating a wonderful website that really represents their essence and how they work with their people. Sarah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again for
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.